Right, so the Apartheid Museum, in collaboration with the Nelson Mandela Foundation, is showcasing a photographic exhibition. It's entitled Born Free, Generation of Hope. Now, this exhibition by Dutch photographer Ilvy Njiokiktjien is created by celebrated South African photographer Neo Ntsoma and Nwagbogu, founder of the LagosPhoto Festival at large, and the African Artists Foundation. It's really an exploration of the lives of South Africa's first generation born after apartheid. It's currently open. It's also going to be running until March next year. So Curator Neo Ntsoma joins us this morning to unpack further. Good morning. Thank you for joining us at this hour.
Thank you for having me.
Congrats on this feat, and thank you for being part of this storytelling, this necessary storytelling process, particularly 30 years into our democracy. Perhaps you can explain what is divulged and what's projected this time around.
Oh, yes. I was approached by Ilvy. Ilvy is someone that I know very well.
Yes.
We worked together at the Star in 2007, and that's where we forged a relationship. So throughout our careers, we've been very supportive of one another. So she approached me. She said, like, Neo, there's an interest for my work to be exhibited in South Africa, and I'd like you to be a part of this project as a curator, you know. So she presented me with like a large body of work. And it was a challenge, you know, because there were incredible images that mostly highlighting key moments in our 30 years of democracy. But I had to be very strict in how I approach the work.
So let's get into that, because there's personal interests as well.
Yes.
And it's obviously balancing so many layered and nuanced images that have also come through over a 30-year democratic dispensation. So how would you have gone about doing that? No pressure.
Yeah, representation was key for me.
Absolutely.
Everybody needed to feel like they also have contributed and they will be well represented in the collection. So I started first by selecting themes that really speak to the 30 years of democracy. I'm not born free, right? So I don't think that I'm even the right person to have been part of this project, maybe but I appreciate the process. I really appreciate the opportunity. So it was more looking at the key highlights. It was more about making sure that both the challenges and the successes are highlighted in the exhibition. So it made it even easier because I was presented with a large body of work, so there was no scarcity of anything. She actually went in and covered everything. In the 17 years she's been in South Africa, coming in and out in South Africa, I think she really kind of like understood the journey, much as she's not South African, but she really invested in the story, in our journey, and embraced it, you know. So yeah, I think it was incredible.
Ilvy, having that outsider lens, you saying you're not a born free. I mean, so the gift of that is that you're able to also look at the evolution.
Yes.
And so perhaps you could speak to some of those unearthings that you would have witnessed through the offerings, because that is very key.
There's a lot of uncertainty that I feel like the born frees are actually asking themselves if there is even hope for them. You know, I mean, there are those obviously in the collection that embrace the changes and also appreciate the fact that they don't have any reference of apartheid. You know, but there are still those that are really, really challenged. And what was really heartwarming about Ilvy's collection is that she didn't just focus on the urban areas, you know, she went deeper into it. She covered challenges and successes in the townships, you know, like the self-made young people that are really not waiting for any form of funding from anyone, but they are really creating with the little resources that they are offered. And then challenges where there is absolutely no hope, to a point of the young people now being into drugs, you know, like it's really sad that there is this interplay of hope and hope and despair.
Hope and despair and hopelessness as well.
You know, and you know, like trying to find the balance and present an authentic and cohesive narrative. I think for me, it was something that I really wanted people to kind of connect with the show. When they walk into that space, they should feel like, oh wow, this is just not like a one-sided story about the dark side of our country, as it is always been the case with most photographers coming from European countries. They come to South Africa and they just like, their perspective is very narrow about issues that we are dealing with on a day-to-day. For me, as a South African, as a photographer and as the curator of the show, I needed to be really fair and balanced in my approach.
And that speaks to our agency as well, because our story is incomplete with our version, without our version.
Yes.
And so looking at what's come through as well, I mean, what gives you hope?
What gives me hope is the young generation, because the young generation that, like my generation, we still have flashbacks of what happened in the past, okay? And that has actually informed how we approach life in general.
Sure.
Right, so the born frees, they have no reference of that. Whatever that they do, it's led by how they connect with everything that is presented in front of them.
Yes, and they're also not afraid to challenge the status quo.
They are not afraid.
Yeah, there's no emotional loyalty, because the reality speaks for themselves, right? In terms of what they're facing. There's so many more questions left unanswered at this point, but I know people can engage with your work, and obviously it's going to be nostalgic, healing, but also a trip down memory lane, right? To see how far we've come.
More than anything, for me, I think it was more of introspection, but also a reflection of my current situation, and also like looking back at where we come from and the road we've traveled and how far we still have to go.
Absolutely, and it's going to give us some, you always in hindsight, are you learning the lessons, and we can carry that forward. Now, thank you for your time at this hour.
Thank you
for joining
much.
us, for sharing your work. And we're going to leave that conversation there, Born Free Generation of Hope, that exhibition at the Apartheid Museum. It's a must-see for anyone interested in understanding our complex history, the interplay of history, culture, and youth identity in South Africa at large. Just in conversation with curator and photographer Neo Ntsoma.